Thank you for having me here today to speak about one of my favorite organizations, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. And my biggest challenge is going to be telling you everything I want to share with you within 15 minutes. But I'm going to try my very best to do that. Is this on? No? Okay, so I don't need to speak into it then. If you can't hear me, please wave. I've been on the CNIB board Ontario North for about the last 10 years. And I must admit that prior to 2002, I really only had a basic understanding of CNIB and what it did for individuals. I certainly respected the organization and knew that it helped and supported people who were blind and visually impaired. As my work in the school system, I knew that CNIB worked with the school system to assist with teaching and helping children who were visually impaired. But I never really fully understood the impact that this amazing organization has on the lives of families and individuals. And if I get emotional at this point, I'll try to get through it. In January 2002, my first grandson was born. And very shortly after his birth, we found out that he was totally blind. As a grandparent, a new grandparent, my first thought was, oh my goodness, I feared for this little boy and the challenges that he was going to face in his life. His parents, my son and his wife, although I'm sure they harbored some fears of their own, really didn't spend a lot of time worrying and focusing on fears. They actually swung into action, and from the very beginning, and this is where I get emotional, they were determined that their son would have every opportunity. One of the first organizations that they partnered with was the CNIB. And he was just a little tiny baby when CNIB made their first visit to Dryden. And from that time on until Owen was until they actually moved away from Dryden, the CNIB would visit them regularly. About every 4 to 6 weeks, the folks from Thunder Bay CNIB would be coming through. Oops, why is this doing this, Susan? See, it's trying to speed me along. Would come and stop in Dryden on their Northwestern Ontario tour, and they would talk to Scott and Aaron. From the time Owen could crawl, he actually received orientation mobility training from the CNIB, and his parents received a wealth of instruction and guidance and support to give Owen all of the early intervention that they could. Move forward to the current day. Owen's now 17. He's in grade 11. And when Owen was in grade 2, the family relocated to Brantford so that Owen could attend the W. Ross School for the Blind, which is a grade 1 to 12 provincial school for children who are blind or visually impaired. It's a residential school as well as a day school program. So because they were able to relocate there, Owen has been a day school student there the whole time. Owen is proficient in Braille, so he reads and writes Braille very well. See, it's still trying to. He's very active in the school music and sports program. He loves to hunt and fish like all good fellows who are born in Northwestern Ontario. And I was just telling at lunch that he, 2 years ago, did write and ace his hunter safety course and his gun course so that he can do something called companion hunting with his father. They do not let him carry a gun by himself, just to let you know that. Owen is a pretty typical teenager. In fact, his sister will say he's quite annoying sometimes, so he's pretty typical in that sense. He is a decent student. He maintains a B+ average in academic subjects, and he is now looking forward to post-secondary school and deciding what he wants to do as far as college or university. As a young child, he loved the radio, and he was determined he was going to work in radio for CKDR specifically, actually. However, now he's branched out in a few things, and he's really thinking about law. So he has had many, many experiences and opportunities in his short 17 years, and he's done very well. He's really ready to take on the world. He really is. And in his life, he hasn't seen a lot of obstacles. And I guess if I have any fear as a grandparent, my fear is the world ready for Owen? And so that's what I'm going to talk to you today about in the role of CNIB. So Canadian National Institute for the Blind is a charitable organization. It just celebrated its 100th anniversary not too long ago, in the last couple of years, and it also has undergone massive restructuring. It consists now of, the group consists of 3 facets. The first is the CNIB Foundation, which I'm going to talk to you about today. Second is Vision Loss Rehabilitation Canada, which now provides the actual orientation, mobility training, and life skills training that was previously covered underneath the charitable organization. After quite a bit of lobbying from on the part of CNIB, that facet of the organization is now covered by the provincial government through our healthcare system. So that was a huge I guess, win for CNIB when they could be relieved of that financial cost. It also consists of the deaf-blind community services, so that's all part of the CNIB group. The mission for CNIB Foundation is changing what it is to be blind. And so changing that perception of people who are blind and what their limitations might be, as well as for the rest of the world, changing their perceptions. There is an overriding board for the CNIB Foundation, which is an Ontario-Quebec board, and within Ontario there are 4 regional boards. So there's the North, the West, the East, and the GTA. We, of course, are part of the Ontario North Board, which goes from the Manitoba border to the Sudbury area. And within that, we are part of the Thunder Bay region in Dryden, which goes from White River to the Manitoba border. And there are about 1,500 CNIB clients within that catchment area, the Thunder Bay region area. One more thing before I go on. Oh, it is a volunteer-led but staff-supported organization. So most of the programs are run by volunteers within the foundation. The program areas are pretty much the same throughout the province: live, play, work, learn, tech, and advocate. However, programs vary from area to area dependent on the need within the area. Delivery of service varies as well, because as you can imagine, within larger centers, it's more more face-to-face services at a CNIB facility. However, in larger geographic areas, it's often online, and so lots of use of online technology and teleconference, that kind of thing. In the Thunder Bay area, the CNIB office there is the hub for this area, and they send out monthly newsletters to let clients in the area know what is happening, not only in Thunder Bay, but throughout the region, and what's accessible by teleconference or web, that kind of thing. Volunteers are really important to the CNIB because, of course, they are that kind of organization. They're always in need of volunteers. The opportunities vary across Ontario, but rest assured, all volunteers are engaged and appreciated, and there's many different avenues that volunteers can be used within the whole organization. The first program area I'm going to speak of is the live area, and that whole program really is encouraging people to live in their communities and be involved in as much as possible. To assist them being involved, there are peer support groups, which are led by blind or visually impaired individuals. Those peer support groups might happen in person or online again, and it really is an opportunity to connect with people who understand clearly what the issues are and help you work through them. Another program, Vision Mates, are sighted individuals who work in one-on-one with a person who is blind or visually impaired. You might read with them, help them in their home, go shopping with them, or just visit. Research shows that connecting with others reduces the incidence of depression and isolation, and I'm sure you can only imagine how much isolation there is if you're visually impaired, especially if you're an older person living in a remote community. So these programs are really important to foster connectedness for sure. The Guide Dog program promotes independence and confidence. There are excellent programs in Ontario and Canada that train dogs to be assistant dogs for many different purposes: diabetes, autism, hearing impairments. Guide dogs for the blind, however, require very specific skills, and so there's often a waiting list for guide dogs for the blind. And so this program was launched by CNIB nationally to meet that need. And hopefully there won't be such a long waiting list for people to get dogs if that's what they choose to do. The next program area is play area, and it really is to connect individuals to be active with others, maybe through yoga or hiking or skiing. Again, it tends to be groups of people in larger communities, but it certainly can happen in smaller communities as well. And the focus really is to get people involved and give them security, I guess, in stepping out of their comfort level to take part in activities in other ways. Lake Joe, another part of CNIB that's near and dear to my heart. Lake Joseph is a camp for the visually impaired or the blind. It's located on Lake Joseph, which is in the Muskokas. It is a completely accessible camp designed for individuals with sight loss. There are several programs throughout the summer that are either 1 or 2 weeks long targeted for youth or adults or families, and the programs really allow individuals to participate in activities and learn about activities that probably aren't accessible to them in their community or that they just can't safely take part in. In 2011, it was identified that there were hardly any, if any, CNIB clients from Northwestern Ontario attending Lake Joe. And so my Dryden Trillion Lions Club initiated a project called the Lake Joe Transportation Project to really help people get to camp, because one of the challenges that clients identified was it was too expensive to get there. They could maybe manage the registration, but getting there was a huge cost. And so this project raised funds through other Lions clubs in the 5M10 region. And now, on average, we support 3 families and 3 to 4 individuals each year from this Northwestern Ontario region to get to camp. So that we pay for the transportation and we pay for part of their registration. So that's been a really positive project. The next area I'd like to speak to is the work programs. And of course, as I said, with my grandson reaching the age of post-secondary school, that's what I'm thinking about. What is out there for people who are blind and visually impaired? The whole purpose of this program is to ensure that individuals have the skills and the confidence to apply for a position and to be able to fulfill that job once they get it. Employers are worked with to ensure they are open to hiring someone with a disability and to recognize the potential that that person might have. The Come to Work program was launched in just recently, November 2018. It really was launched to focus on 3 areas. Number 1, to address the fact that only 28% of people who are of the age to work and are able to work are actually engaged in employment. 28%. Also, to work with employers to ensure they are ready to engage people with sight loss, and to really celebrate and explore the benefits of mentorship, because as you can appreciate, people with sight loss might need some additional support once they start their job even. So there are 10 business partners right now currently on board in the province, and some pretty large corporations including Canadian Tire, Microsoft, and Rogers. And their goal is to educate and engage with employers about how to increase participation through employment. And so they're looking at internship programs and mentorship for sure. Yeah, they would like to be interned in a job, actually. There are 4 intern positions across the north, and 1 is located in Thunder Bay. So it's a new program, but it's certainly one that we're hoping will expand. The Learn programs really do support clients to achieve their full potential. Supporting individuals to do things they want to do and get training they want to do. The youth and children's programs support children and families through play groups and networking. They assist parents in communicating with schools and help them to navigate through the school system from preschool to post-secondary. Literacy programs provide support for people of all ages in exploring alternate forms for reading and sharing their thoughts, of course through audio books and braille books and all kinds of different technology that people might not even know about, to let them know what's out there to assist them. And through a program that CNIB was very involved with, all of our libraries now in Canada have accessible books for people who are visually impaired or are reading limited. The next area is technology. Owen's iPhone really is his window to the world. he uses it constantly. And I know all kids use their iPhones constantly, but he really does use it. It's a part of most of what he does. He uses it for information. He's a sports addict, so it keeps him in tune with what's happening in all his favorite teams in North America. But it also connects him to sports, believe it or not, in England and Australia. He has a favorite rugby team, the Geelong Cats. I'd never heard of them. Anyway, that's his favorite team in Australia. VoiceOver allows individuals to do research anytime, anywhere, about anything pretty much. Apps on your phone have GPSs, which allow for handheld navigation, and that's something he's working with the CNIB right now, and that's his training, is to learn how to use that navigation tool. Owen's 17, and like any kid, he's pretty eager to learn things, and it comes pretty easy to him to learn about technology. But what if you're 65 and you're losing your vision? What do you do then? And that population is increasing, by the way, with so many baby boomers. There is support through CNIB to introduce individuals to new and accessible technology, and to really let them know what's out there, what's available, and give them some assistance in how to use that technology. And there are regular teleconference groups that go through that and help parents, adults who are perhaps a little reluctant to actually take the step and start using technology. And younger people with visual impairment can help them do that. This is a really exciting program called Phone It Forward. Phone It Forward is a program that partners with Fix-It Wireless Repair to take smartphones that people are no longer using and give them to people who are visually impaired. So what happens is, well, one of the reasons is that drawers are full of these things in our homes. The research says 10 million smartphones are upgraded in Canada every year, and only 1.5 of them are traded in. So the rest of them are just hanging around in our drawers. So your phone donation can really transform someone's life. What happens is that it's donated to CNIB, it's given to this company, it's wiped clean, and then it's given to a CNIB. It's loaded with the appropriate apps, and it's given to CNIB clients. If only 28% of individuals who are blind or visually impaired are working, to purchase an iPhone is probably not within most people's reach. So this program will give them that iPhone that can help them in their daily life, as well as in getting a job or working within a job. And it also will reduce electronic waste. So the environmentalist, it's got an environmental component. All corporate phone donations will be provided with a proof of data wiping and a destruction report upon request. If you're interested in finding out more about this program, just Google CNIB, Phone It Forward, and there's a link that tells you what kinds of phones they accept, because they don't want the really old ones, of course, what they accept, and how you go about turning it in. So if you would like help with that, just let me know, or otherwise you might want to consider that. That's okay. Advocacy is another huge program area for CNIB. It works with clients to empower them to find their voice and use their voice to advocate for themselves in every kind of situation they might be in. Also, for clients to work with others to advocate within your communities or within the province or the country. CNIB is a huge advocate for people who are blind and visually impaired, working with communities or working with the government to initiate legislation. We have had an accessible legislation policy in our country for quite a few years now, but making sure that that policy is implemented in every community is an ongoing challenge. And so CNIB is really central in making sure that when communities or cities replace infrastructure, that they replace them with the kind of things that people will need to help them with their visual impairment. There are just a couple of things that are out there. Audible pedestrian signals you're pretty used to, but there are also programs that will actually speak to people and tell them what intersection they're at. And if they're going such and such, you turn right or you turn left or whatever. Blind Square is another navigation system that installs beacons in downtown areas or in airports or at universities so that people can use their phone app to navigate through that area independently. All kinds of things are happening technology-wise, and so it's really good to be on the forefront of all of this. And I'm sure my time is running out, so I'm going to go zipping through the rest of this. A couple of other things. The CNIB shop is available. It used to be in a CNIB building. Now pretty much it's online, which makes it more accessible to everyone. The CNIB iVan is a traveling medical mobile care unit. It travels 6,000 kilometers through the north, through our area. It's very relevant in our area. 25 ophthalmologists volunteer in that unit throughout the season, funneling in and out, and there are 2 paid CNIB technicians. It serves 4,500 patients in the north, and referrals come from optometrists and doctors to get into those folks, and they do vision tests, treat eye conditions, and perform minor surgery. They will be in Dryden August 19th and 21st, parked up at the hospital parking lot. Just about done. So, of course, CNIB needs everyone's support as a charitable organization. You can help by giving, by partnering, and volunteering. A couple of signature events for CNIB are Night Steps, which is a walkathon at night. Another one very popular is Dining in the Dark event, and we've had a couple in Dryden where people actually have an experience either eating or do some other activity where they're blindfolded. In Dryden, a couple of years ago, the Dryden Trillium Lions did a luncheon, Dining in the Dark, which was very well attended. And Carly Brown last year hosted a Yoga in the Dark, where you have an evening of yoga. Both were very successful, and our community really did support them. Monthly giving is always appreciated if you're looking for a charity to donate to on a monthly basis. And if you would like more information, I put little cards on your table, but if you just Google CNIB, you can pretty much find whatever you want. So thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.